So, okay, I talked about communicating with investors, but I mentioned I started off by saying you met the investor. But of course, this presupposes that you have put yourself in front of investors. The first most important step you need to take as an entrepreneur who's going to be seeking investment is you need to get to investors. So how to get to investors? There's people that say, like, you've heard this before. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Correct? But in fact, I think this is not correct. It's, of course, what you know is very important, but it's not who you know, it's who knows you. That's what's really important. So how do you get investors to know you? Let's look at another maybe prior question, which is, investors prefer to work with people that they know or people that they don't know? People that they know. This is a very relationship-focused business. Almost every investment that we make, we come to know an entrepreneur through somebody that we know. It's very difficult to get into this business or get investment just as we call cold call. So how do you get investors to know you? You get investors to know you by expanding your network. And you expand your network by networking and by using a method or focusing your networking on a specific area. Like, who knows this concept of, or who's heard of this concept of 6 degrees of separation? So what does it mean?
It means you're like within 6 degrees of anyone in the world in a friendship.
Yeah, so this is a common understanding of this concept, meaning there are, in between you and any other person in the world, you should be able to get there in 6 steps by going through somebody that you know or that knows you. But this number is actually wrong. 6 degrees is not the right number. Why? How do we know this? Because the origin of the 6 degree number, or if it's right, it's only right by chance. Because why? 6 degree number comes from a study that was done in the US in looking at the degrees of separation between people in 2 cities. And they found in that study that the average degree of separation was 6. So if the average degree of separation during this study was 6 between people in 2 US cities, then the average worldwide must be much higher. But this study was also done before social media and internet, so this has probably collapsed the number of degrees. So the estimates for worldwide is somewhere 9 to 12, but still it's remarkably fewer than we would think. You would think the number of steps between you and anybody should be a lot more than is implied. Now, also important to understand about this is this study looks at who knows you, because in order for somebody to be a step in your degree of separation network, they have to be able to address you by your given name. I mean, like, you would have to know me as Douglas, and I would have to call you by your given name. This means that we know each other. So how does that work? Why are there surprisingly fewer steps between people than you might think? What causes this phenomenon to hold true? It's because of a feature of networks. Networks are made up, again, can't really see on this slide, but the networks are made up of spokes and nodes, right? So we have a typical network has a node that connects out to other nodes, but the way that most networks develop is each node does not have an equal number of connections. Some networks have, in each network we usually find a few of the connections, a few of the nodes have a lot more connections than others. And as soon as we call these connector nodes, and as soon as you hit one of these nodes, the number of connections at the next degree balloons, increases exponentially. Why? Like, what do you think is the average number of people in somebody's network, in a typical person's network, as I just described, meaning people that you know and that know you by your given name? Average number per person.
100?
Yeah, 100 to 200. But for people that are in like a connector node, this number can be in the thousands. So for example, as soon as you get somebody in that connector node, your next degree of connection balloons exponentially. So your goal in effective networking is to hit connector nodes. So for you, who do you know in, let's say, Singapore, early stage entrepreneurship and venture capital that might be connector node in this network? Me. Yeah. So this is a smart step on your part to help you improve your networking capability to come to an event like this, so you get to meet me and Roz, who have like thousands, literally thousands of connections within this network. And it's not because we're something special about us, except that we focus on this area. So you want to make sure you are networking effectively and meeting the right people. And then you have to leverage those network connections to get to the next person in your network.